Uh, there we go. So, all right. So I'll start us off. So welcome everybody. Today is part one of our 10-part lecture series. And so, as some of you may or may not know, Roots in Guinea-Bissau is a nonprofit 501c3. Part of our mission is to conduct development projects, micro development projects in the nation of Guinea-Bissau. Another part of our mission is cultural enrichment and teaching the descendants in the diaspora about our ancestral lineages and our culture. And so today we have one of our cultural ambassadors, Djola Felder-James, who is of Djola descent, and she is going to share with the group and with the viewing audience just some information and give us a presentation about some information on the Djola ethnicity. So without any further ado or any other introductions, I will turn it over to Djola to start us off.
All right. Hello. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, family. As I said to some of you, if you have any questions, just make sure that you jot it down in the chat. And Kevin will help me out with that. So there is very little information about our people out there. But I have dug deeply, and I have made friends when I went over to Guinea-Bissau, who is of Felder descent, and just kind of got some more in-depth information about us. So one thing that I want to address, the first thing that I want to address is our name. We're called Djola. But we don't go by that name. Djola was given to us from the Mandi. And the Mandi, in their language, it means those who get back. Those who get back, meaning it's good or bad. So if anything was ever done to them in an evil intent, they would do it back. And if something was done good to them, then they would definitely give a favor back. We have got different spellings of Djola. And Djola is D-J-O-L-A. That's the one that we are aware of. But there's also another Djola, which is D-I-O-L-A. And that was given to us by the French. Felder actually is not a name that they go by either. That was also too given to them by the French, and that was meant to, it was an interpretation of man of the rice paddy. That's what that was. Djola is known for their rice. Anyone in that region, if they are making rice, it's because they learned it from Djola, from the Felder. We have tried to do other vegetables and things of that nature, but we just pretty much stick with the rice. And we have got a variety of rices. We have black rice, red rice, yellow rice, white rice, not white man's rice, and brown rice. We are a decentralized and always have been a decentralized community. We did not want to have any dealings with the Portuguese, the French, or the English. We were taken by village ratings, mostly from the Mandingo, And also when our mothers were along the shores collecting shells to feed their families. As far as the culture goes, let me back up on this one. With the name. What I was able to find out from Fuluk people is that they don't call themselves that, and they don't call themselves Ajumat because that's their language in Guinea-Bissau. Now there are different families of what we would call Djola. However, when it comes down to the Fuluk, they say that they are all family. And the way that you can look at it, because sometimes they understand each other and sometimes they don't due to different dialects of their language. But however, they all stem from what they call Kajumtai. That's what it is. Kajumtai. So if you want it to be, if you want to know who is their God or their creator, and where they are from, they will tell you Kajumtai. And that's who they are. That's where they stem from, but it's not a place that you can actually find on the map. And that is interesting.
Okay, so let me pull on that thread a little bit.
Okay.
So you said the word is Kajumtai?
Kajumtai.
Kajumtai. Okay. So now is that like you said that's their place of origin? So is that like a cosmic, origin, like the Dogon, say we come from or they come from Sirius? Is that like a belief that, they didn't originate on, anywhere on this planet, but they were, brought down, they have a cosmic origin or an origin that's outside of any place that we can point to here?
I think what it is just that like you cannot place it on the map today.
Oh, okay.
To the labels.
Gotcha.
But I do have to do more extensive research, and I have to go back and visit just the Djola villages to gather more information and a little more history on their creation story and things of that nature. But they call them their belief system animus, and I kind of don't like that because like it's just like it's applying a label to a sacred belief system that has been around since the beginning of time for them.
Right.
So
They call it animus. Is that what what outsiders, people outside of the culture, that's what they label?
yes, yes, they do. Yes. And so when they label it that way is because they say they worship inanimate objects. Right. But actually with Djola, their belief system is very, very close to Buddhism. And their dress carries them quite a ways throughout the continent, in which you can see similar people who dress like they dress. Like, you look at the Congo and you see the Zulu, you see the Luya in Kenya. So, if you look at it on a DNA standpoint, they are very closely related to the Arabian Peninsula. Okay. Okay, so is there any questions about the names and just the tippity top of the culture? Okay, so I will move on with the transatlantic slave trade. Now, understand, like I said, that some of them were captured, our mothers were captured from the Kachua River, and also by villages being raided. There's a very little number of us. And some people have got the question to ask, well, why is it that, it seems as though that the only Djola descendants is through the female and not the male. Well, that's because our males fought and died. They fought and they died for protecting their women, because that is the culture. The culture is that they will die for their women, they will die for their village. And although we were captured, the females were captured, they were brought over to Cape Verde. When they were brought over to Cape Verde, they were enslaved, and you had a lot of Wolof and Mandi and Fula women who entertained the Portuguese, the Jesuits that was there. And they had their children, and those children became the middlemen of the transatlantic slave trade, especially when it came down to what they call Upper Guinea. They would take these women would provide, either become domestic servants, and we all know what that means, and or they would also work the fields to feed them, or work the cotton fields. From Cape Verde, you had several ships that was coming there. So a lot of our mothers throughout centuries, starting from 1494, were captured, and for generations they have been kind of bought, sold, and migrated forcefully to the Caribbeans, to Brazil, all along the Spanish coast of South America, Mexico, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. These are a lot of places in which we have migrated. I have found my great grandmother on the census, and I see her there in 1865 in Alabama. But at the top of the census, it says, brought from North Carolina. Now, then, with that being said, my DNA, I took another test, which was Ancestry. And Ancestry said that on my mother's side, that is early North Carolina. So I know that my people, my mothers, my foremothers, they came from Guinea-Bissau to possibly to North Carolina. But I also took other DNA tests, and I see that it's in Brazil. I also see Cape Verde. And of course the Spanish area, but that is shared with my dad's side as well. So I can't be completely sure. Now, some of us is from Alabama. If I could have everyone to just tap in there, tap in the chat, where your family stems from, rather if it's down south or Virginia or North Carolina, South Carolina. If you guys can tap that in. Aha. Belize, that's really nice. Okay, Indiana, that's interesting. Okay, Abraham, that's no problem. Washington, D.C., okay. Bentonia, Minnesota, is that Vivian? Or Miss, that's not Mississippi, is it?
Yeah, that's Mississippi.
Okay. All right. In Virginia. All right. And then we got Mississippi. This is very, very interesting. So has anyone honestly went through, did any other test? Any other DNA test?
Hey, and this is interactive, everybody. So feel free to raise your hand, and I'll try and moderate and call on you. So
Living DNA. Okay. Well, I need a Vivian. Yes. Which one did you do, Vivian?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, how are you? This is a Jewel?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it's so nice to actually see you because we've talked, through
Yes,
texting.
we have.
Yes.
We have.
So, and I'm just happy to know that you were doing this. And thank you all, because I had gotten a message. Yes, I'm Vivian Stewart, and I did the African ancestry, and that is when they found Djola. And that spelling was D-J-O-L-A. But as I researched, I learned more. But we've talked, Jewel.
Yes,
and I am from, that's right, I am from New York. But my parents, they're from Bentonia, Mississippi. And it was naturally on my mother's side, the maternal side, that showed Djola. But I've also had DNA done before that, the African ancestry. I would say I first started in 2010 doing DNA. Before it was more research. That's my granddaughter. She's drawing. Okay. So anyway, but we'll talk more about that one day.
Yes.
So yes, but Djola was found by, the Gina Page, the African ancestry. And that's how I reached out to Jewel a few years ago. So wonderful talking to you. Yes. I'm 75 years young. So, so we're always learning.
Indeed. We are all like learners. Thank you, Vivian.
Yes. Oh, you're welcome.
So
Jewel, one more hand, Jewel.
Oh, you got more hands. Okay.
I'm sorry, you listed here as iPad 4, so I don't know your name.
That's me. It's Donna, Jewel.
Hey, Donna.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
So it's like my mom and dad, and you and I spoke about this at length, are from Belize. And of course, it's my mom's side that goes back to Djola. And on my dad's side, he comes from St. Vincent. I think from my research was my great grandfather, I should say, was on one of the ships that crashed into St. Vincent. I can't remember the exact details right now. But I did 23andMe after I did the African ancestry test where I found Djola. I did 23andMe, but of course they didn't really give me a whole lot. Just said West African, that was like 78%, something like that. So far, that's about all I found.
Okay. So,
Greetings, everyone, by the way.
um, so to be honest with you, it's not a lot of DNA tests out there that is African specific. And we'll still welcome Juanita. I see you are not Djola, you are Belanta, you are still one of our sisters. So welcome. Which is it's a shame, but however, I did I kind of looked on YouTube and there was a video that was saying what was the best DNA test out there for African Americans to take. You can upload your DNA for those who took the Ancestry. You can download your DNA on your computer and then you can upload it to GEDmatch as well as MyHeritage. And I just want to make sure that I got this right because I put it up on plenty platforms.
I think it's living DNA as well. Is it
Living DNA? Yes, living DNA as well. And okay, yeah, my living DNA, MyHeritage. Oh, and my family DNA. So it's like my FT DNA.
Mm-hmm.
You can upload those. Two of those are for free. And one of them may be like $25. But like it gives you a way broader knowledge of your makeup, what you collected from your ancestors. Now understand, you have got over 2,000 ancestors. And Djola is only 6%, about 6% of what your genetic makeup is. So only because it's matrilineal, so it's mother to mother. Now, Ancestry, they do it autonomously, and which is just everybody, like all of the DNA that you collected from them. And understand, even though you've got over 2,000 ancestors, you did not collect all DNA from your ancestors. So it could be you, and it could be a twin sister or brother, and you two will come up with different results. So it's amazing how DNA works. But at these sites, they actually, especially MyHeritage definitely gives you like different people's, the name of different people's, unlike Ancestry, when Ancestry only gives you the region, and it just looks like, well, I'm made up of all of West Africa, and some Central Africa, but GEDmatch definitely names, and I love that. And also, as I said, MyHeritage as well. My living DNA, that is good just as well, because it gives you a map along with MyHeritage. It gives you a map, and as I said, they're more specific when it comes down to the names of the different people that you have collected DNA from. Now let's talk about our jewelry. Why do we wear our jewelry? Why do we wear the cross beads? Why do we wear the head beads and the bangles and everything? It is strictly for protection. Protection for the mind, body, soul, and fertility. And pretty much that's kind of it. Djola is a very simple people. They still don't want to have any dealings with the outside world. So let's say cultures outside of themselves. So they have stayed in the same location for hundreds of years, but they did migrate. And you can see their migration because when the Mandingas arrived, like in the 13th century, you know, they grew in numbers. And that made the Djolas, the Banyans, the Bayotes, they made them move further down. Although there is still Djola still inside of in the Gambia and in the Casamance of Senegal, and of course Guinea-Bissau. So but we're like 2% of the population in Guinea-Bissau. They still have their belief system and they still carry it with them. However, some of them have adopted Christianity, and very, very few in Guinea-Bissau is Muslim. But you would have a wider or a broader population who embraced Islam in Senegal and in the Gambia. But the Gambia, I would like to say, is mostly Christian. But they do intermix their traditional beliefs with Islam and as well as with Christianity. Okay, is there any questions or anything anybody would like to say? You can jump in anytime you want to.
I want to go back to, I think you mentioned it said something earlier about the dress and clothing and how you see it, kind of similar styles and clothing across the continent and other cultures and other ethnic groups. Could you elaborate on that? Like I know, like for instance, Djola also wear, like, you know, Balanta, they wear the red, the males wear the red caps. Is there a significance in Djola for the color red?
No, not the color red. Actually, we are blue and white.
Okay.
Or you could say like a very, very light blue, like with just a hint of blue, and dark blue. So that is our dress. That's our colors. But the red caps means that they are, I don't want to call them a made man, but that means that they are an elder. You know, it means that they went through all of the rites of passage, and they are an elder, a well-respected, you know, community member in which they will go, you know, like people will go to resolve their issues or anything that they have concerns about.
So Djola men, they have like a manhood rite of passage ceremony.
Yes, they do have a rite of passage ceremony. And Kevin, if you could play the video for the Djola Fuluk dress.
Okay. All right.
The male dress. Yes.
I'll pull that up.
Okay. So just to let everyone know that too, because I'm a female, I don't have the rights to know everything that is included with the male's passage. But also too, I had a male interpreter, so I could not ask him to ask the females about their passage to womanhood.
Okay, so which one is female? I see Fuluk male dress.
Yeah, that one. Yes.
All right, we're clicking on this.
So as you guys can see, this is the process. Like, it is so many layers of becoming a man in, say again? Oh, okay, nobody's like. And this is when I was in the village. And they had them to line up and show me how they dress as they age older into manhood, or they go through the passage or whatever initiatives that they have got to perform in order for them to go to the next step. Okay. Okay, that's good. Could you go back to the YouTube, the major, you know, like where all of the videos are?
Okay, hold on. All right. Can you see?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can see. Okay, so go to okay, so let's go to more. Those videos here for the uploads, yeah. Click on the arrow on the right side.
Oh, for which one? Where it says first night at the Ledger Hotel? That one?
No, not that one.
Right here. I see.
Yeah. All right, now where it says Djola welcome one, could you play that? This was them welcoming us into the village. Jinding is the name of the village that welcomed us. And on a banner, it says, welcome home, sister. Now, we had to stand there and we had to wait. And trust me, I was like all in tears because, you know, like I was totally moved by this warm welcome. And look at the little boy, the little baby. He's got his Djola dress on. But the women, you see those little packages on the back of them? Those can only be worn by women who had children. These are not sellable art pieces. And it's made out of shells. It kind of mimics a book bag, if you will, but it's not. It's to mimic a child on an African woman's back. But they say that if a woman who has never had children, if she wears it, she will die. So you see them wearing a traditional Djola dress. They've got different garments on, but you'll see most of them are wearing the blue and white traditional colors. And, you know, I say, look, she was getting it in. I mean, like, she was all of them. I mean, like, my knees is shot. There is no way in the world I could have made that. Well, I mean, I did dance. I'm not gonna lie, I did dance, okay? And they was all applauding, but whoo, that dance is a lot of energy. Okay, so okay, now this is where I tried my first palm wine because they also too tap palm wine. And I gotta say, oh, and look, see, there's the elders with the red hats. And do you see, Kevin, when they show the table again, pause it right there, pause. Okay, so there are the little book bags that I was saying, but they make these and they wear them on their back. And these are the things in which it is dangerous for a female who has not had a child to wear because they believe it will cause her death. Okay, you can start it again. And as you can look around, you see all of the villagers. And they have their rice hanging. So, and see the ladies wearing a traditional blue and white. Okay. All right, and then you see the elders there welcoming us. Okay, pause that for a minute. Right there. Okay, so you guys see that house or that hut in the background. It's actually very small and you have got to go under it to get into it. So when we first entered the village, they introduced me to this. Now, it's not a drum. However, it's a hollowed out tree. In which it's kind of like, it looks like a huge tote bag, if I could say that. And what they do is that they beat on this. And for centuries, they have different beats in which they make to either warn about danger, to say, that there's a ceremony going on, or for them to, announce a death or birth. So, yeah, that's that. I see that there was a question. I missed that. What do you know about our fight against enslavement and or injustice? Okay, so I will tell you this. We was fighters. That was definitely for sure. We were actually logged in this book that I love so much. The history of the Upper Guinea Coast. This is a must read, okay? If you're looking for books to read about, and even Appalachia people as well.
Game two.
Hey, Kareem.
Hey, peace, sister.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much, trying to tap in and check you out.
Thank you. So, in this book, it tells you of an account in which the Falup, yes, they got tired of being raided. And what they did is that they actually build walls, around their villages for the raidings, to come to a halt. But even afterwards, they were manned outside of those walls, and they were along the Kachua River in the land of Bolor. Now, if you look on the map of Guinea-Bissau, you will see Bolor. It's B-O-L-O-R. It looks like color, but it's Bolor. And they manned themselves there, and they would kill anything in sight coming up that river. Okay, the Falup men did not play. They believe, like I said, they will die for their women, they will die for their children. They are definitely known as warriors. And they did metalwork. Like who else would make their spears? How was they making their spears? Their swords, their knives, things of that nature. And it's just like, because Djola is so misunderstood, a lot of that type of credit goes to bigger societies in insinuating that a decentralized community is nothing more than negroids living amongst themselves, which is shameful, because they have done quite a bit. And of course they do, so they've engineered a lot of things for themselves. So, yeah, when it comes down to the fight, yes, You know, we did not play with that. You know, we fought against the Mandi, and that's how we got our name. And actually, it was Mansa Musa who gave us that name. So, it's a shame that, like I have to read so much information just to get a little tidbit or mention about Djola because they're so grossly misunderstood, but also too, they stayed out of the limelight. They did not want to trade. So, that's that.
What question? I think we got a couple questions in the chat, but I have one. So
Okay.
have you been able to research? Is there any through your research or through any DNA genetic evidence of any earlier origin of the Djola? We know in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th century and today where we are, do you have any knowledge about any earlier origins, whether that be from anywhere else, on the continent or transcontinental, or have the Djola always been in that particular area, for as far back as we can trace?
Okay, so what I had did to find that out, because of course Djola they never wrote down their history. I looked through it through the female's gene. Okay, so I can't quite say that this is also the same for the Falloop male. Okay, so but for the female gene, which is L2B, everybody here that scored in Djola, you are L2B. And I have got a map on my Djola page that shows you little shaded spots of where L2B is. And as I said, okay, you can find us in Alexandria, Egypt. You can find us in the Arabian Peninsula where like Qatar is. And you can also find L2B between like Botswana and Namibia. And of course, Guinea-Bissau. That's the darkest shaded area. But also understand that L2B is not exclusive to just Djola. Right. L2B also shares with Yoruba. Goodness gracious. I'm not looking at my notes at this minute, but it is on my website, which is www.djola.org. And you can see where I give you the breakdown of who also too shares the L2B gene. But understand that we're talking thousands of years, right? Okay, and L2B, that gene alone, that haplogroup is, I want to say, they say it's like, I don't know, 16,000 some odd years old. And that's coming from the Eve gene. So we're kind of like, I guess you could say second on the scale, because you've got L0, L1, L2. Now you've got L2, and that's majority African people. Okay. L1, they had migrated south as well as east, and then up north into Europe and Asia. Okay. But with L2, 1, and then you've got L2, excuse me, that's an L2-1, L2A, and then you have L2B. So L2A branched off from the Eve gene from, that's in Cameroon, Nigeria. They branched off first. And then we branched off next. And then it was L3. They branched off. And then now there's an L4. So, but they kind of like, L1 branched off way, way in advance. L2B is conflicting stories, I'm gonna be honest, because they say, okay, well, L2B is mainly in South Africa. And then some say, oh, well, L2B is majority in West Africa, can be found in West Africa. So I'm still doing research. There are studies that are continuing to be done to kind of find our origins more probably, hopefully more specifically. So this way we can kind of find some things out, but also too, as I said, I really need to go back and I need to interview and video the elders in the community and have a woman to interpret, so this way I can find out you know, what's going on with the matrilineal part to this story.
I see a question in the chat, and it's probably perfect timing because we have one of our resident experts, cultural ambassadors, who's Balanta on the line as well, so he may be able to share some insight into that. But the question is, what is the relation between the Balanta and the Djola? I heard they were close. They were warriors.
Very close.
Well.
Very
Yeah,
close, and still close to this day.
absolutely, absolutely. So
Yes.
yeah, so a lot of the information that Jewel was sharing about the Djola in terms of, you know, them being rice growers and them being a decentralized society and stateless society, and the males being very, very fierce warriors who have to undergo a specific rite of passage before they're accepted into manhood. A lot of that is also true for the Balanta. So there are a great deal of similarities, and I believe even their origin, there may be some similarities in terms of you know, ancient origin of the two ethnic groups, right? So Balanta, according to oral tradition, and it's also backed up by DNA and genetic evidence, is that we had our earliest origins from East Africa in the what's known as the you know, Nubia, right? So between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan, that's where our origin is, and I believe Djola as well has some origins in that region. So so yeah, great similarities. And if our brother Senso, if he wants to add on to that and maybe elaborate and give some additional insight into kind of the similarities between the Djola society and the Djola ethnic group in terms of customs, origin, and beliefs and practices, I'll open it up.
Yeah, Joso.
Yeah.
Abenin in Kasansa Chimna in Sumande in Ka Nubo Kiba. I'm happy to be here with y'all. My name is Sanso. Big up Kevin, big up Jewel. Long time no see. Big Jewel, a woman here. Yes, so I'm sorry for joining late, but I saw the notification and I love history and culture and genetics, so I had to be here. But yeah, when it comes to the similarities and differences between the Djola and Balanta, that's not something, to be honest, I ever really looked into specifically since I'm not Djola. But I've met Djola people during my time in Guinea-Bissau and Gambia. I've come to know more about the Djola in the peripheral. You know what I'm saying? Like learning Balanta stuff, you're gonna learn Djola stuff. And so that's all to say, I don't have a lot of in-depth knowledge that Jewel probably has and has been sharing with you all. But from what my knowledge is that everything that Madonna just said is true for the most part. But when it comes to the differences, though, I do think I should point out that the main difference that I see is that the Djola have a Mande descent, if I'm not mistaken, where they were.
No, we do not.
No. There's also.
It's the Djola that you're thinking about. Djola.
Okay, never mind.
Yes.
So
And Jula is Mandi descent, and they are, that name means trader. It does not mean like they trade in the market. So they're
oh,
sales.
okay.
Okay. And with Jola, it's a difference. And a lot of people get that mixed up, and that's okay.
See, that's why I'm here. See, that's the main thing I actually came for clarification on. So let me just be quiet then, because that's who I was going off of, because the spelling is interesting, because in Africa sometimes people even get us confused, like the Balanta, people get us confused with the Balanda with the D that live in
Oh.
present day Sudan, and then people
Mm.
people get to making connections that, where, oh, that's us over there in Nile Valley, like that confirms Wikipedia and all this stuff. So it's really good to see the nuance with things. So I appreciate that correction. But
Yes.
I think the Jola in the Jula, like the Jula, I think are spelled like Dyula, and then I've also seen Diola, and then I know, of course, here in Bissau, with us here, the Jola have the Djola spelling. So
Okay.
I've
So
heard
the Jula, it is like is Dyoula. That's the Jula. And but the Jola is spelled differently with the Ola, but also it is also spelled Dioula.
Oh, okay, so that means, okay, so
Jola.
I say that
And
because I saw a
it's
math.
just language. It's whoever using their language, like the French or the the Mandinka or the Portuguese. They will say it with their own dialect.
Right,
And that's how it seems like it's different, or it's like a whole different people.
right.
So
It's
you gotta
interesting.
be, yeah, it
You gotta
it
be careful.
really
You gotta
is.
know the history of who colonized this, because even the Balanta, that's not our name. That's
Yep.
not our name. That's a Mandinka. That's what the Mandinka called us, and that
There
means
you
those who was there.
go.
But we
Yep.
don't call ourselves that. We do nowadays, because that's just what we're
Mhm.
known by. It's like a nickname now that stuck. But we're
Right.
Brasa, So, but it's always interesting when you go back before we were all in Guinea-Bissau, because to my knowledge, a lot of us are not indigenous to Guinea-Bissau. At least I can speak for the Balanta. A lot of us were more inland in the old Mali Empire. And a lot of, and that history kind of speaks to a lot of our heritage and who we are as a people before we settled in Guinea-Bissau to become rice farmers and subsistence farmers. So like in southern Mali, I know the Brasa Balanta were cattle herders, but they were also stateless, and so that's why we came into conflict with the Malians, the Malinke. But I'm curious, like I'm curious because I've seen mass at museums that talk about the Diola spelling,
Mhm.
and I've seen, I don't know, Jewel, that if you can confirm the history of the Jola before Guinea-Bissau, but also this mask where it was almost like a helmet. It had these circle eyes, and then it had two horns, long, 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 skinny horns. Have you ever
Okay.
seen a mask like that? Because I saw that it said it was a Diola mask. So I'm not sure if that's the other Jola or Jula, or if that's your people's.
Now, understand, we have got many families within Jola. So that is not the way that the Jola Falup, that's not what they do in Guinea-Bissau. Understand that there are like, I think 10 different other families under Jola in which they are from the same. And they have their mask, their ceremonial mask, they have their dress. I mean, like you name it. There is difference when you go into the Casamance region in Senegal, and it's a difference in the Gambia as well. So as you've seen, you probably didn't see it, but on the video, this is the extent of pretty much how Jola in Guinea-Bissau celebrates and do they think they didn't wear any masks, they Yeah, they didn't wear any mask.
Same
So,
here.
you know,
Yeah. So
We wore helmets, if anything, but
right.
that's very rare.
mhm.
So I was gonna ask you, Jules. So you said there are 10. So would those like constitute like subgroups of Jola people? Like Balanta, we have subgroups. You know, and I think we divide ourselves into the 4 main subgroups of Balanta. So you said Jola has something similar, and
Yes,
that's the families.
yes.
Okay.
These are the families, and understand that they have been separated for a few hundred years.
Okay.
So, you know, that explains the dialect because those in the Gambia and those in the Casamance of Senegal, they have adapted to colonization. So their language had to be adjusted so that they can communicate with others who they you know was involved with. So
Okay. All right. So we have any floors open. So if there's anyone who has any questions directly to Jewel, just
okay, Sansa, the indigenous name, no, is not Falu. It's actually Kaju Kajamti. Kajam.
Ajamat,
No, Kajamti.
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 jump.
Yes. Kajamti.
Yeah, Jewel
So,
talked a little bit about that, and the reason I asked you, you know, about the origin is because I think you had referenced in that it has something to do with the deity, the Falu deity,
the Falu creator,
the
right?
creator, right?
And,
Okay.
and so like that is where they are from as well. So they, if you ask them where they are from, it's more so like, okay, we are from our creator and we are from this place that can't be found on a map. Maybe because it's been renamed, you know, it's not in existence. But as I said before, Jola did not have a griot or jewel to, you know, write down their history. So some of their history is probably lost when we talk about ancient history.
Mm-hmm. So what is the, in terms of spirituality? I know you mentioned earlier that the Jola are, you know, animists, as most, you know, indigenous Africans are, meaning that, you know, everything has a consciousness or a life. Every we view as inanimate objects are actually not inanimate objects. They have a life force. So what beyond that, is there anything that's unique to Jola in terms of perhaps maybe ancestor veneration or the way that they?
Oh, definitely, most certainly. I mean, like everything is upon our ancestors. And it's we have this understanding that nothing can be given, nothing can be taken without our ancestors working toward that or working against it. You know, so it's just like they are constantly a force in our life. And we don't ignore our ancestors, and we always pay homage to our ancestors.
Mm.
Is there any special way that y'all do that? I know I know libation is across the board.
Yes.
I know gin is often used, but are there any ways specifically that the Jola venerate their ancestors in Guinea-Bissau?
Well, it's they have now they bury their dead on their grounds. So they also like they will gather under mango trees. And they will give libation, you know, to that ancestor. Or they will visit that grave site to honor their ancestor. But they use palm wine. They They don't use gin or anything else, but they use palm wine to do so.
And I got here late, but I was wondering, like, where
Okay.
Senso, I think I muted you on accident.
oh, my bad. Okay, no worries. I was wondering, where were the Jola before Guinea-Bissau? Since I know that the Balanta were in the southern Mali region, and before that possibly Lake Chad, and then before that possibly the Nile Valley. But does oral tradition amongst the Jola hold that they were in a specific place beforehand, or is it all based off of like coming from the creator, which I think I understand what that means. But is that it?
Well, that is what I know right now. Now, as I said before, I still have got a lot of research to do, and I really need to go back so that I could interview more than just one village. So I can get a collective of knowledge from everyone in the different villages that's in the northern part of Guinea-Bissau. But I cannot tell you 100% for sure where they originated from. I do know, however, that they have been in the Casamance region for over 1,000 years. So they are definitely one of the original people who were there. Now, how long they was there, can't tell you. But you know, I'm banking on that they were there before anybody else came in.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up. There's a since you mentioned Casamance, I've been to Casamance before. I actually got detained in Casamance before. But there's a movie called Saloum. I put it in the description. I put it in the chat. And I watched this last year. I think it's on Amazon Prime Video. And it's an African movie, horror movie that talks about, at certain points, about a Jola, Jola spirit specifically, and a curse. And I don't know if it's the same type of Jola, but Saloum is actually a place. Sene Saloum is a place in Senegal, and the movie takes part in Guinea-Bissau. And then these renegades they go over Saloum in the Casamance region, and so that's interesting. And then I remember seeing another movie which I believe is also, it might not be on Prime, but I think it's on another thing. If I find it, I'll send it to the group. But it showed like a Jola man who was going through his initiation process, and it was through the perspective, the lens of a white American missionary who fell in love with this man, and they got married outside of the cultural context, of course, in America. And then when it was time for him to get initiated, they made a documentary about his return back to his village and going through the process and everything. And it was really interesting because that's the closest, even though it took place, I think in I want to say either Guinea or Senegal. I think that was like the closest context we have on the internet or on film of that process, where like they shaved his head and had to send the hair to his mother. And just in case somebody tried to do witchcraft, because we know the initiation process is very dangerous on that front, you know, he had to do his all of his things, you know, and that was really beautiful to see. But it was just interesting because of the white woman.
Right.
Bravo, thank you, Senso.
Yeah,
definitely. Thank you.
All right, we have see, we have a few more people. Ashley joined us. What's up, Ashley?
Ash.
Hey, you guys, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry for being late.
That's all right. That's all right. You made it.
I went to the Final Four. I'm in mourning right now. My team lost yesterday, but I'll be back. But good to see everyone.
All right. All right. So anybody else have any questions for Jewel? Anything they want to add based on some of their own individual research or some things that they've been burning or dying to learn that they haven't been able to find any information on? Jewel might have a resource for you.
Yes, I was wondering if has anyone learned any of the Portuguese or Criollo?
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of learning Creole as well as Portuguese.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
as I said, I've got friends there, so I'm still, like I make them talk to me, in Portuguese and Creole. So this way I can kind of get used to hearing it.
Yeah. So we have I think a few of us have kind of picked up a few words. I've been studying. We got Abraham on the line here, who's a native of Guinea-Bissau, and he is working with a few people to develop a Creole curriculum.
That's
We got to help him, front that project, but he's been helping us. So I got a few words in my arsenal. Kumaku style, I can say bon dia, bon,
Bom dia, bom dia.
como de corpore, I could say a few words in Creole, but yeah, it's we working on that, right? And then we also do have a WhatsApp group of some Portuguese, English, and Creole teachers who are more than willing to, like, whenever you got a question about something or want to learn something in Creole, you can just type in their WhatsApp group and somebody will jump online and kind of walk you through some information. So I got probably about 25 different phrases, as well as I think numbers and some other stuff on a what's that little self-help Quizlet, right? So I got them on Quizlet in Creole. So you click on it, says the Creole phrase, and you flip it, and it'll tell you what it means in English.
Could you put that in the chat for him?
Yeah, it'll probably take me a second to pull it up, but I'll try and pull that in the chat. It's you search the files on the Facebook group, it's in there, but I'll try and put that in the chat. Give me a little second.
Okay.
And I'll put that in the chat. So we working on that Criollo, man. Because like I said last week when we talked, being able to it just shows effort on our part, right? Our brothers and sisters in Guinea-Bissau, they do their best to speak as much English as they can. So we should be willing to meet them, more than halfway and start on our process of learning the local language and be able to communicate with them as well. So yeah, great question. But we're trying to provide as many resources as we can so that we can actually learn that and become, if not proficient, at least, showing an effort, that we value the culture. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna try and find that link.
Is the name of the Guinea book? Is Kiswahili spoken? You mean for the? You talking about for the Djola, Vivian?
I think are you referring to just in Guinea-Bissau overall or specifically with the Djola? Because I don't believe Kiswahili is spoken in Guinea-Bissau on any large scale. There may be some speakers, but yeah.
Oh. Okay, yeah. Now that I don't think so amongst the Djola, no. And their language, as they say, is Atlantic, and it's through the Bantu Congo, Bantu Congo, and it's a branch from that. But also, I can't pronounce that, but Swahili is Bantu Congo. It's a branch of language as well. So
So I just put the Quizlet link in the chat. So like I say, it's just a few phrases in there. But you know, it's a good start. Okay. Any other questions about
Thank you.
language? What language? What's the indigenous language of the Djola? What do they speak? What is it called?
Ajimat.
Ajimat. Okay.
And that is for the ones in Guinea-Bissau. That's for the Falup in Guinea-Bissau.
Okay.
And what does Djola mean, Sanso? It means those who get back. They got it from the Mandinka.
And like, what kind of contact did y'all have with the Mandinka?
Well, we traded rights with them earlier on. This was before the arrival of the Portuguese.
Now, Drew, where else are Djola found? Like, are they in Senegal?
In the Cassimis of Senegal and in the Gambia.
But is Guinea-Bissau is probably the largest concentration?
No, I won't say that. No, I think that they probably break even. But I think maybe the Gambia may have more Djola there than Guinea-Bissau has.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Jewel?
Yes. What's the Joel's fascination with knives and sharp blades?
And that is the Senegal Djola. They is to show that they are impenetrable. That they can't be cut by the sharpest knives. Pretty much it's just like they're untouchable by any danger.
Yeah, because I saw a ritual they were doing, and I was like, this one guy took out a whole pack of raisins and just put them on his mouth, and he's like breaking out in the front.
Yes, there is an art to that. There is an art to that, but it's a culture. It's meant for intimidation.
So for everybody who joined late, I got on my I'm paying homage to the Djola ancestor, Chadwick Boseman, with my T'Challa outfit on, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted Jewel, what could you tell us who are some other famous, African Americans or Afro descendants who have discovered that they have Djola ancestry?
Well, Q-Tip.
Okay.
He's another one, the rapper Q-Tip. But it's not many.
Chadwick Boseman.
Say again, Jay.
Oh, Chadwick Boseman had it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman. Yes. And what's ironic is that my people comes from Alabama. His people come from Alabama. Both of us have the same birthday, November 29th. And I was just like, I was so floored about that. I was like, oh my God, the next time that I go there, I'm going to make sure that I pay homage to him. And hopefully I can do a mural of his face and him, or Black Panther, period. And place it where it belongs.
Question in the chat, since so asked about the age grade initiations. Like, do we have specific, like in Balanta, we have specific age grade initiation. So some man is initiated, he has his initiation in the manhood, but there's several initiations prior to, to prepare him, so that he has a place in the tribe at a specific age. Do the Djola have something similar?
As you've seen that they do have stages, and I had showed a video, Sansa, of the Djola males in their dress, and as you see the stages, the different stages that they have to take in order for them to complete their passage. But I don't know a lot about the passage to manhood because I am a female. So there are certain things that I am not privy to know. And what part of Alabama? I'm in Lowndes, Alabama. That's where my people stem from, Lowndes, Alabama. In Montgomery, Alabama.
Seriana, I think I'm saying that right.
Serena.
Serena, I'm sorry, Serena. Like Serena Williams. Okay. Ask about the language and do Djola, do they have common names? Jewel, what's your, before you get to that, tell us your given Djola.
Right. My name is Ekumene.
Red rice.
Yeah, oh God, red rice. So actually it was actually an honor to be named that, seeing as though that rice is everything to the Djola. Yeah, I take that with honor. I carry it here. And I put it on my t-shirts, and now I use that name here and there, but I'm not going to indefinitely like change my name, my given name for my mother.
You're not going to change, you're not going to legally change it, but that's your,
Yeah.
you don't
That's
have
my
to
Guinean
your
name.
name. That's a given name, you know.
Yep.
You don't have to, you don't have to go to court for people to call you. Right? All right, and then the other part of the question was, are there some common names, Djola names?
A lot of names that they have today are Portuguese names.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them do have traditional names, but to name them to you right now, Serena, I cannot even dare. Mm-hmm. And yes, Sansa, I do know Perry County. My great grandmother was born in Perry County.
Oh, where? That's where my nana's from. She's from Uniontown.
Ooh, yes, Uniontown.
You know about it?
Oh, I know a lot about Uniontown. Like there's still some plantations there that my people were working on, still up there.
Wow. That's deep. We're gonna have to get up. That family name that goes down there on my dad's side, my dad's mom's side, is the Deeds. And like all I know is that they got a lot of land that's being polluted by this racist coal mining company. But they got the last name Deed because after they were emancipated, they chose the name of the deed they got from the land that they inherited. Because my great grandfather was literate and he was somehow able to get like over 100 acres of land as a newly freed African.
And this was after the Civil War.
Most definitely.
Yeah, a lot of plantation owners abandoned their properties. And when they did, a lot of people who were previously enslaved on that property took over that property.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's some juicy stuff in Alabama, Lord knows. Woo, wait.
Yeah, I'm trying to go down there. I've been all the way to Guinea-Bissau, but I need to get more in touch with my roots here, honestly.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Mm-hmm. Alabama has got some hidden history. A lot of people don't know that the Black Panther Party actually started in Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
No, I didn't know that.
The last enslavement ship too.
Yeah, oh yeah, the Africatown.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in the new documentary on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, anything else on your mind about the wonderful Djola people that we learned so much about this afternoon? Seeing none, hearing none. All right.
Thank you,
Julie,
Vivian.
any comments you wanna lead the people with, where we can find, you know, the stuff you're doing with the History and Genealogy Society, your research, your website, anything about your artwork, anything you want to share with the people?
So I am currently helping those to find their path through their family, through their family members. So hence the genealogy part of it. And you can reach me through my website, which is www.jola.org. And it has my pertinent information there to contact me, so that I could help you too with your journey. And hopefully, you know, we can find some things past 1870 for those who is kind of deadlocked at that point.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Jewel. This is part one of our series of presentations. All right. So that's one of the core missions of this organization, is to you know, provide cultural information, to serve you with cultural ambassadors who can serve as that bridge to that information and to that knowledge and to that group of people who you're connected to ethnically. And just to help us kind of facilitate and learn as much as we possibly can about, you know, the information that we've been denied for so long. So, you know, we hope to bring you many, many, many more lectures along the same vein. Right now, we have a 10-part series. So, you know, we got some. You know, I have to get with Sanso after this, but we got some information coming up about the Balanta and hope the Fula and every ethnic group, the Brahme, in Guinea-Bissau. You know, we have some people who are going to speak to us specifically about language, specifically about traditions, whether they be marriage or birth or burial, death traditions. All of that information about the culture of the people who inhabit the land, you know, known as Guinea-Bissau, we hope to be able to bring to you with some people who have been researching this information or who have lived it. So looking forward to sharing all that information with everyone in the very near future. So, hey, you know, make sure you subscribe and like the YouTube channel. This is going to be uploaded there. I couldn't go live, I'm sorry, but this will be uploaded there as soon as we're done with this. So go to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, watch all the videos, and we hope to have a lot more content in the near future on that site for you all to witness and view.
And also to Kevin, if you could please provide a link to my YouTube channel for the videos when we visited Guinea-Bissau. So this way too, they can kind of look for themselves and see the experiences that we had.
Yep, absolutely, will do. I'll put that YouTube channel so everybody can go and view Jules' information and see what that trip looked like. It was a great time. So.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks
You're
all.
welcome. Bye, guys. Have a good night.